stuck through all the hard times with me and everything. I might cry a little.
And it's understandable. It was an incredible pass. You never even thought to shut it off early. It went full throttle past the last light. There was no smoke from the engine, and here comes Ursi Hill and the crew, and man, is this going to be a celebration. An incredible moment. After 16 years of waiting for the first 4-second elapsed time, Eddie Hill's crew comes out to join in the celebration of the most incredible run in this sport's history.
Record 499.
895, 60 foot.
Let's go. You like one?
Hello, everybody. I'm Pat Patterson. Welcome to the Texas Motorplex just outside of Dallas, Texas, as Kroger presents the Texas Nationals International Hot Rod Association Championship Drag Racing event. As you can see, it was quite an emotional moment for Eddie Hill, who became the fastest drag racer in the world. We've got all the action coming up. They're drying the track behind me as we've had more than a 5-hour rain delay. As usual, John Lundberg will join me up in the booth, and Brett Kepner will be covering all the action in the pits.
Well, Pat, the 5-hour rain delay you talked about has been just one small problem in an ongoing battle between the racers and Mother Nature here at the Texas Nationals. A week ago, when qualifying started, we saw Eddie Hill make that historic 4.99-second run, by far the quickest run in drag racing history and the most incredible run the sport has had in probably the last 15 years. But the Texas Motorplex is the quickest and fastest racetrack in drag racing history. It's proved that time and time again since it opened its gates for the first time in 1986. In qualifying, we saw Ed the Ace McCulloch take the Miller High Life Oldsmobile funny car to a career best and an absolute quickest ever run for a nitro-burning funny car at 5.30 seconds, the second fastest speed of all time at over 280 miles per hour. In Pro Stock Eliminator, Bob Glidden's Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Thunderbird recorded a 7.31 second elapsed time, the quickest ever for the new breed of Pro Stockers and a new IHRA world record. Every other category of competition has been recording record elapsed times and record speeds as well. But indeed, the Texas Motorplex has produced the greatest runs in drag racing history for the last 2 straight years. This race indeed should be no different. And by the way, it's almost guaranteed that we'll be seeing the professional category final rounds under the lights. And with the cool night air and this racetrack's incredible adhesion, we may see runs even quicker than Eddie Hill's 4.99-second run here today on ESPN's presentation of the International Hot Rod Association Texas Nationals.
Today's telecast is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch, makers of Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Motorcraft, quality parts for quality cars. Also by Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. And by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. As the Texas sun fades into the west, we're just about ready for the opening action here on the Berg and Brett Kepner, and we have got funny car action coming your way under the lights here in Texas, as we'll see the first 2 cars come to the line. Tom Hoover out of Maple Grove, Minnesota, up against Ontario, California's Mike Dunn. John?
Mike Dunn is the former IHRA World Speed Record holder. It's now 7 miles per hour faster set at this race. He's off on a good one. Hoover doing well, but here comes Mike Dunn. Dunn wins. The lapse time for the victory is 5.5 seconds at 2:64. Hoover runner-up at 5:55, 2:60.
Might also mention that Mike Dunn's dad was at this event and competed in the event. Jim Dunn, he was eliminated, but now you see Mike Dunn moves on to the semifinals. Up next, it's the 87 defending champion, Mark Oswald, against Tim Gross. John?
Gross's 1988 Pontiac Trans Am, Pat, hasn't even had an opportunity to be fully painted yet. We see several sponsor decals on the vehicle, but no major lettering job as yet, and at this nighttime action, it shows up very well. I'd like to comment on the fact that we're seeing some very, very surrealistic drag racing photographs here taken by our crew. The Motorcraft Thunderbird backs into stage. In the first round, Oswald ran 5:42. Gross ran 5:52, so they're about a tenth of a second apart as they come to the starting line, and this is the quarterfinal round, second heat of Funny Car Eliminator. Okay, mechanic motion. Mark Oswald forward to stage as the all-white Pontiac Trans Am of Tim Gross stages at the top of your screen. What does Gross think? Tim Gross does not have a major buck sponsor. He's a tenth of a second down after the first round on Mark Oswald. Let's see what happens as they now stage to drag race, nighttime style, at the Texas Motorplex. Here goes Gross. It's time to drag race. Green, out of the chute they go. Gross, good start. Here comes Oswald in the mid-range. Already by him, Mark Oswald. The elapsed time for the victory is 5.40 seconds at 2:67. Gross, the runner-up, 5:78 at 181.
So the Candies and Hughes Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird of Mark Oswald will advance to the semis. It's time now for a Quaker State Quick Facts with Brett Kepner.
Nearly everyone is familiar with the most easily accessible bolt-on horsepower additive in drag racing. It's known as the supercharger. Although it was originally created back in 1926 for military vehicles to increase their horsepower, it later became popular on commercial buses across the country. And the supercharger, bolted to the top of any supercharged or nitro-burning engine in the top fuel dragster funny car ranks, is one of the reasons these machines can produce over 3,000 horsepower. The supercharger itself is a 40-pound piece of magnesium, but inside the supercharger casing is what makes this particular piece of equipment perform. These are supercharger rotors throughout the inside, 2 of them to be exact. And when this machine, or this particular piece of equipment, is hooked to the crankshaft via a rubber drive belt, these rotors spin and take air and fuel around the sides of the casing and compress it into each of the 8 cylinders inside the engine. It is this rubber drive belt that is connected to the crankshaft and then to the supercharger that allows those rotors to spin at speeds, I might add, of up to 12,000 RPM at the finish line. At 12,000 RPM, the supercharger is feeding each of the 8 cylinders with more than 40 pounds of boost worth of nitromethane and oxygen mixture, compressing that into each cylinder for extra horsepower. The supercharger itself can add up to 1,500 horsepower to these machines, but bear in mind that just the energy it takes for the rubber belt to be driven by the crankshaft eats up about 500 of those horsepower. Nonetheless, the early model, some 50-year-old early model, supercharger is a mainstay in professional drag racing.
Thank you, Brett. We'll be back with more IHRA professional funny car drag racing.
Opportunity for Amberson, is it not, John?
Yes, it offers Darrell Amberson an opportunity to step the Ted Thomas car up as a very serious vehicle. In the first round, Amberson ran 5:47.2. Trip Shoemake ran 5:48.7. So the 2 cars are about 15 thousandths of a second apart based on first round winning elapsed time. And there you see the Ted Combus 1986 Corvette driven by Darrell Amberson, his first year in a big-money professional top-fuel funny car.
I was getting ready to say, John, that Trip Shoemake has had such a good year this year. He did not get the victory at Bradenton, Florida, like he would like to have had, but nevertheless, Shoemake continues to be one of the most popular funny car drivers on the circuit.
And Trip would like to race to a win here. I think it's in front of his boss. It's in front of the hometown crowd for the Chief Auto Parts Oldsmobile. Trip, I think, kind of feels he backsided into the Darlington win, and he wants to race for one. And let's see how well he does right now as he stages with Darrell Amberson. Here we go. They're out of the gate. Good pass coming on, and Shoemake's got him by a car length. Puts it in high gear, holds it, and Trip Shoemake wins. The time, 5:43 at 2:58. Amberson, runner-up, 5:53, 2:57.
And, of course, that is the hometown advantage for Trip Shoemake as he'll advance. Ed McCulloch now, John, will take a clean pass, no competition on the right side.
He's the #1 qualifier here. He did it on Thursday at 5:30. McCulloch is having the best drag racing weekend of his life, and a good pass here as he goes through the quarter mile at 5:32 and 2:76. Mike Dunn is tuning up in the pits. Brett Kepner is with him.
In the Mike Dunn Nitro Funny Car pit area, Mike Dunn himself right now is busy changing the clutch discs, as he feels that not only his broken concentration in the first round, but also a faulty clutch slowed the car to a 5.50 second elapsed time. He feels, as does car owner Joe Paisano, the car is capable of running the 5.3 second elapsed times it's going to take to win this event. They've already replaced all 7 discs and pressure plates in this clutch, and indeed have put in the new discs that are preparing for the next round battle. But as we said, it's going to take more than a 550 to win this battle. The youngster from Long Beach, California, still, however, is one of the favorites.
We go back now to the second round of Top Fuel Eliminator. Coming up, Dennis Purcell against Frank Hawley. Hawley, who's the head of the drag racing school in Florida, his first weekend in the Top Fuel dragster, and he's the number 4 qualifier at 5:14 in the first round. He ran 5:22. His competitor, Purcell, a 5:18. And now we're ready to drag race as Frank Hawley, former world champion in funny cars, at the top of your screen, sprints away from Purcell, who breaks on a starting line. Beautiful pass for Hawley. He goes 5:16 and 277 miles per hour.
That's really a tough break for Dennis Purcell, too, because I knew he was working hard this weekend to try to make it to that semifinal round, but was eliminated. Up next, Jack Ostrander goes against Joe Amato, John.
Amato has been one of the quickest guys at this drag race all weekend, but not the quickest. He was a number 3 qualifier at 5:10. He comes to the starting line having won the first round at 5:17. Ostrander ran 5:33. Ostrander at the top of your screen in the Jolly Rancher Top Fuel dragster. We see just the nose now, the TRW Hearst Keystone Automotive Top Fuel dragster. Joe Amato out of the chute they go. Beautiful pass as they sprint to the quarter mile. Amato in the lead by bus lengths. He goes 5:09, 286. Ostrander runner 5:33, 274.
And another championship pass for Joe Amato out of Old Forge, Pennsylvania. There he is, the former NFL quarterback, Dan Pastorini, in his Top Fuel machine. Lights him up and gets his tires ready, and the man he'll go against is Eddie Hill, and we talked with Fuzzy Carter earlier.
Yeah, the car's been running real well. Eddie's been doing a good job of driving, tuning the car, and we're real happy, and we've got a lot of new parts, and it's just working real fine.
Well, I'll go ahead and ask you what probably everybody is wondering. What is it that you found? Can you say anything? Is it in the clutch and the fuel system? What's the trick?
No, it's just the whole combination. Everything's working right. The fuel system's right. The clutch is right. Eddie's driving the car real well, and it's just everything's working good for us right now.
An initial drama note here, Pat. Eddie Hill has not yet backed up his 4:99 low qualifying ET. He's got to run a low 5-second elapsed time to get that done. And the way that car sounds, it may do it on this pass down the quarter mile.
Well, one thing's for sure, John, if enthusiasm from a crew makes a car go anywhere, any faster, I should say, this crew is fired up to get that 499 backed up. This may be Eddie Hill's opportunity.
They say when it's right, it's right. From the 499 pass, they took the motor apart. Nothing wrong inside, like it had just been fired up for a warm-up in the pits. Let's see now if Eddie Hill can back up that 499 and get the Super Shops Pennzoil Fueler down the quarter mile on a low 5-second pass. Against him, Dan Pastorini. Every pass Pastorini makes down the quarter mile, he learns and gets quicker and gets much tougher.
You can look for that Coors Light team to, like you said, John, be a lot tougher as the season goes on. Let's see what Pastorini can do against Eddie Hill.
They're out of the gate. Hill makes a beautiful move as Pastorini breaks. A beautiful pass for Eddie Hill. He goes 5.00, 8 seconds. He backed up the 499 at 272.
What a run for Eddie Hill. That puts it in the record books officially. And the crowd here is just ecstatic over that perfect run of Eddie Hill. You can see the crew and how excited they are. Brett Kepner's at the end of the run with Eddie Hill.
Well, Eddie Hill, I don't know if you could hear the crowd from all the way down here, a half-mile away. That was the run you were looking for, 5 seconds flat. And I know you shut it off early, 272 miles an hour.
5 flat. Are you kidding me?
That will back up the 499, and it is official. It's now the IHRA record. There you go.
What a deal.
You shut it off early, right?
I may have. The darkness down here was just a little different, and I knew I thought I was still way ahead, and I may have clicked it a little early. That's the first time I've run this car at night.
Like I said, it was 16 miles an hour below the speed on the 499 and only 100ths difference. It's just an unbelievable run. It looks like this car's back on the track.
Well, I believe this car is going to work.
No question. Dan Pastorini shut off. It wasn't even a race, but here comes the crew again. Congratulations.
All right. All right.
The 499 is the new
takes this car into orbit.
The front wheels are 5 feet off the ground. The clutch pack goes into its second phase. Now he notices the wheel stand, backs off, puts the front end on the ground. Watch the right side of your screen. Piston parts rocket out of the pipes as Darrell Gwynn wins.
We didn't plan on doing a wheel stand, and man, it came so quick. It's nighttime. Really, things happen so quick you don't believe it. And I was in the air 5 feet before I knew it. The car left that hard.
Well, when your father just got down there, he said you stopped the 60-foot clocks with the rear wheels, so it just went up instantaneously.
Yeah, it did. Right off the starting line, it was up, and I just pedaled a little bit. I knew the race was gone when Gene red lighted, so I tried to stay in my lane, and that was it.
So Darrell Quinn goes back to the pit area to get some work done on that car. Now, alcohol, funny cars out. Semifinal round is the Wizard of Kent, Ohio, Dave Sebring.
Dave Sebring, the number 8 qualifier at 6:27 in this incredible alcohol funny car field. The top 8 cars, Pat, are qualified in less than 0.12 of a second. Earlier this year in Daytona Beach, Florida, Dave Sebring introduced himself to a group as the guy who was going to be the 1988 IHRA Alcohol Funny Car Champion. Well, he needs to make a major win and move here, and he's got a good run going. Hard pass, and through the quarter mile he goes at 6 1/4 seconds, 220 miles per hour. Good pass.
Well, you got to admire his confidence, if nothing else, to make that kind of a statement. He's going to have his work cut out for him. Now, coming to the line, Don Gay Jr. will take on Bob Newberry. Jr. out of Dixon, Texas. Newberry, Schenectady, New York, his home. And Don Gay Jr. is faced with probably some horrifying thoughts of a run that he had a year ago here at the Texas Motorplex, where at night he took a tremendously bad crash, and it really was a dangerous situation for him. He's now back at the Motorplex and running once again at night, and Don Gay Jr., I'm sure, is a little bit cautious about this particular run.
He's a high school student and had to miss a couple of races last year because of the press of his education. He's in against the world champion of 1987 in the near lane, Bob Newberry, the number 4 qualifier at 6:17. Gay in the program at 6:15, number 1. So if there's a confidence level to be gained back by Don Gay Jr., he certainly is expressing it here at the Motorplex tonight.
Well, it was a horrifying crash, and I know that it would be hard for anybody to come back and look it dead in the face again, but now you see the 2 cars are just about ready, staged in either lane. Now we're waiting. We're staged on the left, waiting for Don Gay. Both cars are staged. They're out of the chute now. Don Gay Jr. with a good pass on his side. He's going to get the win light in this one, John.
Don Gay Jr., 6:19, 223, just 0.04 of a second off his qualifying time. 3 runs within 0.03 of a second. Don Gay Jr. has this racetrack dialed in. We'll be back under the lights at the Motorplex after these messages.
Under the lights, Pat Patterson, John Lundberg, and Brett Kepner. And we've got Pro Stocks coming to the line of the semifinals. It'll be Warren Johnson against Tim Neighbors, John.
Interesting in the semifinal round here, Pat. We've got 4 completely different engine combinations that are running within 0.03 of a second. Has to be the tightest Pro Stock drag racing anywhere. Warren Johnson, 500 cubic inch flat crank Oldsmobile. Tim Neighbors, 689 cubic inch Pontiac-powered Chevrolet Camaro. And as Warren Johnson stages the AC Delco Oldsmobile, a little tense on his side. He's 0.08 of a second slow against Neighbors, who ran 7:32. Out of the chute they go. Johnson red lights. Tim Neighbors off on a beautiful pass down the quarter mile. A nice run by Johnson, 7:37, 187. But Neighbors wins and goes into the next round, 7:41 at 188.
Well, Warren Johnson will not make it to the final round here. As we're back at the line, we've got the 2 Motorcraft Thunderbirds. It's the 87 defending champion, Ricky Smith, up against Bob Glidden. And, John, it seems like every drag race we've done this year, these 2 have come to the line against each other. Smith's mountain motor, as they call it, against Glidden's 500 cubic inch machine. And that seems to be the big conversation.
Interesting point here is that both guys, Pat, have been running 730s all night long. Heaven knows what's going to happen, and this is only the semifinal round. I mean, it's a toss-up. Anything can happen here. Let's stay concentrated on the starting line as Glidden and Smith stage to run the quarter mile here at the Texas Motorplex. Very tense now. Motors up. Green, out of the chute they go. Beautiful start. They sprint down the quarter mile side by side. Now Glidden with horsepower appears to be in the lead. Glidden wins. The elapsed time for Glidden, 7:30 at 189. Smith goes 7:33 at 190. We've just seen the quickest side-by-side Pro Stock run in drag racing history.
I couldn't believe how close these cars at the finish as we go back and watch it on slow motion.
Yes, and they're very, very close together. Very close together at this point, but watch Glidden make his move. It's right here. Just as he hits 4th gear, he gets about a fender length on Smith and stays right there through the end of the quarter mile. And once again, the quickest Pro Stock drag race in history, 7:30 and 7:33.
A little bit of smoke inside the cockpit there, but there's good reason for it. The quickest 500 cubic inch Pro Stock run in history, 7:30.
Good. That's good. Well, I knew we had to make a good run. We did make a really good run.
It was a really good run, as you said. A 7:33 loser. You had to be door to door.
It was. I didn't know who won the race, actually.
Back at the line, funny car. cars, semifinal action as we're under the lights at the Texas Motorplex. And, you know, we've had a good crowd out here, John. They've been out here all day. They watched the rain delay that we had earlier today, and are now under the lights as we watch Ed the Ace McCulloch in the Miller-sponsored machine going against the Chief Auto Parts machine, the hometown machine, if you want to call it that, of Trip Shoemake.
We got to say that Ed McCulloch is on a roll here tonight in the Miller High Life Oldsmobile. He's just been running excellently throughout the entire event. Trip Shoemake comes into this race with a 5:43 quarterfinal round winning ET, and McCulloch with a 5:32. The Billy Meyer own Chief Auto Parts Oldsmobile at the top of your screen. Ed McCulloch on the right of your screen as they prepare to sprint down the quarter mile here on 1,320 feet of cement at the Texas Motorplex. Out of the chute they go. Good pass. All right, McCulloch starts to make his move. Here he comes. Beautiful run of 5:33, 277. Shoemake, the runner-up, 5:43 and 260.
So it's the Miller American Oldsmobile of Ed McCulloch advancing to the final round as we watch Mark Oswald, the Candies and Hughes Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird. He lights them up and gets a good burnout. Mike Dunn, Joe Paisano sponsors car, will be in the right lane on this particular pass. And Paisano's car with Mike Dunn, really, he's got his work cut out for him against Mark Oswald, John.
No doubt about it. He comes into this round 1/10 of a second slower than Oswald, so he's got to really step up. Out of the chute they go. Oswald making a good move. Dunn's front end is up. He's almost hit the guardrail. Dunn wins.
Did you see how close he was to the wall back there?
I mean, incredible. 5:39, 275 for Dunn, 5:41, 266 for Mark Oswald. Now let's watch this thing again. They leave the starting line. They're just about together. Now watch Dunn's front end start to come off the ground. There it is, off the ground. The clutch pack here takes just another bite, and the car dives right towards the guardrail. He's 3 inches away from it at 200 miles per hour. He continues to drive through, lets the front end sink down, passes Oswald, and completes the race a winner. An incredible drive by Mike Dunn. He's in the finals. Here's Brett Kepner with Mike Dunn.
What exactly was the violent move to the right side over near the guardrail down around 1,000 feet?
Well, I mean, it was a little sooner than that. I mean, it picked the front end up, and it had it up in the air pretty good, and I locked the clutch up, and she put her up in the air again, went over towards the side, and it was just one of those deals, hang on, hope she comes down in time so I can steer it.
Well, it was a great run for Mike Dunn. That moves him into the finals. We've got Top Fuel semifinals coming up next here at the Texas. When we come back after these messages. Texas Motorplex, Pat Patterson, John Lundberg, and Brett Kepner. And we've got Top Fuel semifinal action coming up as Frank Hawley will take on Eddie Hill.
The question is, what is Eddie Hill going to do next, Pat? We just have no idea. If you could design an ideal circumstance, it would be a cement drag strip. If you could design an ideal time to run, it would be on an evening with lots of moisture in the air with very cool temperatures. It's ideal for everybody involved. Here's Frank Hawley, the ride of his life. First weekend in the Top Fuel dragster. Hawley's done an excellent job all weekend long. Now he's up against Eddie Hill. Hill ran, of course, that 5 flat in the last round. Hawley ran a 5:15.9. And quite frankly, that 5:15 would be good for Top Fuel Eliminator in almost any field in the country. But now he runs against a guy who's gone 0.15 of a second quicker. They're out of the gate. Good start for Hawley. Beautiful pass. He clicks it off. Hill passes him, and Eddie Hill wins. The elapsed time for the victor, 5:19.5. Slowing a bit for Eddie Hill at 276. Hawley, 5:69 at 179.
And I think that surprised some people, John, because I think they looked for Hill maybe to get another one of those sub-5 rounds in, as you pointed out, with the air and everything being so perfect. There's Darrell Gwynn back to the line now against Joe Amato. Amato has had good runs here at the Texas Motorplex, but Darrell Gwynn is perhaps maybe his arch rival here at the Motorplex, and we'll see Gwynn take a shot at Joe Amato.
Amato has run 5:17 and 5:09. Gwynn started the race this evening with a 5:06, so they're very, very close together. The small wheels of the Budweiser King dragster from Florida at the top of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, Joe Amato, Hearst Keystone TRW Special.
And Amato leaves.
That's incredible. Amato left on the staging beat. Now look, There it goes. Darrell Gwynn down the quarter mile, tossing pistons out of his car again. He wins, however, 5:16, 268.89 as Amato really red-lighted.
Well, Joe Amato apparently had some sort of a problem there because, as we could see, the light came on. He did not even get the green light before he shut it down there at the start line. Alcohol funny cars are up next here at the Texas Motorplex. We'll have Don Gay Jr. taking on Dave the Wizard Sebring. Don Gay Jr., as we told you earlier, comes back from a bad crash here a year ago at the Motorplex to race once again at night. This will be the final for him, and you got to think those horrifying thoughts have still got to be haunting Don Gay Jr.
I think if Don Gay Jr. brought any evidence of that into this race, he's pretty well dispelled it. Number 1 qualifier at 6:15, 3 runs, 6:21, 6:18, and 6:19. I mean, the guy's on a roll, no doubt about it. His competitor, Dave Sebring, has run 3 passes in the 6:20 category. We're going to have a good drag race here, Pat.
Now, while a lot of kids are thinking about maybe a scholarship in some other type of sport, Don Gay Jr. at a ripe young age of only 19 years old is proving that he is going to have the kind of material it takes to win championships.
They're ready to drag race now as Gay is in. Sebring coming in very slowly. Here comes the tree. Out of the chute they go. It's a beautiful pass, and Gay gained a car length, and he's holding it. Sebring trying to catch him will not make it. Don Gay wins the Eliminator. 6:19 at 2:23 with Dave Sebring runner-up. 6:27 at 220 miles per hour.
Well, that's going to be a special moment for Don Gay Jr. A great run for him. Coming up next will be the Alcohol Dragster Finals. We'll see Bill Barney in his Castrol GTX machine take on Tony Volturo.
Barney of Citrus Heights, California, has had a dynamite weekend. Number 1 qualifier at 6:19. He's run 6:18, 6:15, 6:13. We're now looking at Tony Volturo, Okmulgee, Oklahoma. Number 9 qualifier at 6:32. He's run down the quarter mile at 6:34, 6:31, and 6:30. Time for him to really step up if he's going to be anywhere near Barney. The incredible times of Barney. 6:13.8 on the quarter mile cement here at the Motorplex. We look at him now as he prepares to race. In just a moment, he'll pull his hand up, pull that clear face shield down over his helmet, and he'll be ready to drag race. And sure enough, that time has arrived. Tony Volturo at the top of your screen. Okmulgee, Oklahoma. He comes into the final round about 0.17 of a second behind Barney in terms of average elapsed time. Let's see what happens as they stage. They're ready. Out of the chute they go. Good start. Volturo would appear to have the lead. Watch Barney in the mid-range. Here comes Barney, and he wins the elapsed time for the victor. 6:13 at 222 miles per hour. Volturo runner-up. 6:29, 2:13.
We'll see Lawrenceville, Georgia's Tim Neighbors take on Bob Glidden, John.
An interesting contest comes up here as Neighbors, who qualified well in the program, has run 7:32 twice and a 7:41. Glidden has been setting records all afternoon. The Pro Stock record, Pat, has changed hands 3 different times. Glidden on a 7:30. Coming into the final round, he's just competed and won the fastest side-by-side run in Pro Stock history.
Well, it goes back to the same thing we talked about earlier when Ricky Smith and Bob Glidden came to the line as far as big motor, little motor. Here's how they were eliminated, John.
Carlos Gonzalez, Terry Adams, and Ricky Smith have fallen to the Glidden onslaught. Stan Mazzell, Jerry Ekman, and Warren Johnson have fallen before the 689 Pontiac-powered Camaro of Tim Neighbors. We're now ready to drag race as Bob Glidden, the drag race of his life, here to face a 689 cubic inch Pontiac-powered Camaro. Left side of your screen, Bob Glidden, Motorcraft Quality Parts, Ford 500 cubic inch Thunderbird. Right side bottom of your screen, they're out of the gate. Beautiful start for Neighbors. Glidden starts to make his move. Neighbors in the lead. Here comes Bob Glidden, winner. Ford at the end of the quarter mile. A lapse time for the victor. 7:31 for Glidden at 184. Neighbors 7:36, 188, the runner-up.
And without a doubt, one of the very best Pro Stock races that we've ever seen. Those 2 cars just showed us. Let's go back now to the replay, John.
All right, here, they're at the starting line. Out of the chute they go. You notice Neighbors gets a good jump. Glidden with his front end up just a little bit. Now as they change gears, Glidden starts to make a move. He passes Neighbors right about here and will really move at the end of the quarter mile to put almost a full car length on him, and he wins at 7:31. Here's Brett with a winner.
Well, I know you've got to be happy. This is the one that finally broke the 88 jinx.
Finally. Yeah, we haven't won anything this year. I'll tell you, this guy, I don't know what he ran in the final. What did Tim?
7:36.
Timmy did. He matched us 100 for 100 until the semifinals. He had some kind of a problem. But I'll tell you, I have to congratulate him for running the race he did.
Fine job. And Tim, you definitely deserved it, like Bob said, but if nothing else, this racetrack has been so good to you. This is a major victory here last year, and one year before that, amazing stuff.
Well, the track is so good. As he's, you know, Tim and some of the guys have never raced on this track. You just come here and you unload your car and you go down the racetrack. There's none of the problems at mid-track with shake or getting out of shape or whatever. We've had really great success at this racetrack because of the facility.
Bob Glidden with a big win here at the Texas Motorplex. Up next, the Funny Car Finals. Ed the Ace McCulloch, two California guys going after each other against Mike Dunn. John?
Ed McCulloch's on the race of his life. He qualified number 1 here on Thursday, a week ago, at 5:30 with a 4. In the past 2 rounds, he's run 5:32 and 5:33. There's Mike Dunn of Long Beach, California. Last 2 rounds, he ran 5:50 and 5:39. Dunn has got to really step up if he's going to be with McCulloch in the final as a serious player.
Well, who can forget this run that we just saw earlier that got Dunn to the finals when he took the car just inches from the wall. Probably one of the best passes and best driving opportunities that he'd ever had. Now, here's the way they were eliminated, John.
Right. Mike Dunn has defeated Richard Tharp, Tom Hoover, and Mark Oswald as he comes into stage against Ed McCulloch. McCulloch has sprinted down the quarter mile twice in competition today, once against Eric Reed and against Trip Shoemaker, who he has defeated. He had a bye in the second round. Here we go. The 2 cars roll in 0.06 of a second apart based on semifinal round winning elapsed times. Ed the Ace McCulloch, lower end or right side of your screen. Mike Dunn on the left side of your screen. They're ready. Out of the chute they go. Good pass. Dunn makes a beautiful charge, but here comes McCulloch. He's on a beauty. He wins. 5 1/4 seconds for Ed McCulloch. Incredible. 279 miles per hour. Dunn the runner-up. 5:34, 277.
And, John, that is the fastest funny car drag race that has ever been held. Ed the Ace McCulloch, what a great run. Let's take a look at it again.
Well, there goes McCulloch. He's beside Dunn for about 300 feet. Now that Miller High Life Oldsmobile starts to run, and he just storms away to 5 1/4 seconds.
Ed McCulloch, I don't know what that felt like to you, but I don't even know if you're ready for this. 5:25 at 279 miles an hour.
All right, all right. I tell you, I got to hand it to Bernie and my crew, Corey Lee, Jason, Chris. I mean, all of my guys, I mean, they're outstanding.
You know, we talked in the previous rounds about how incredible this act has been over the last 10 days that this event has run. I don't think anybody's ready for that. It was the quickest side-by-side funny car race in history. He ran Mike Dunn ran a 34 and lost year 25.
Well, I'm just glad we won. I mean, this, you know, our Miller Olds is, I mean, we're here. We've had a little bit of inconsistency problem early in the year. I hope that's behind us now.
Ace, I'll tell you, there is no inconsistency problem with this car at this event. You and your crew deserve every applaud there is. An unbelievable job.
Great. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We continue to set records at the Texas Motorplex, and we've got more IHRA Championship drag racing coming your way next. We're back at the Texas Motorplex just outside of Dallas, Texas. Pat Patterson, John Lundberg, and Brett Kepner with our final run of the night. And, John, I think we've saved the very best for last, as Texan Eddie Hill will come out and try one more time to crank the Super Shops machine up.
Pat, the word awesome is insufficient. You're looking at the Pennzoil Super Shops top fueler of Eddie Hill, Wichita Falls, Texas, the quickest man in drag racing history at 499. There's Darrell Gwynn, number 2 qualifier at 5:04. That would have won top fuel in any race in the country previous to this one right here. They come into the final round. Gwynn at a 5:16.3 in the semifinals. Eddie Hill at a 5:19.5, his slowest run of the day.
Now, I'll tell you something, John. You really got to give the credit to these crews. Let's look now and see how both of these drivers got here.
Eddie Hill beat John Davis and Dan Pastorini and Frank Hawley, and Gwynn defeated Bob Strauss, Gene Snow, and Joe Amato.
Like I was saying, you got to give a lot of credit to the crews that have worked so hard here at the Motorplex to come here early in the morning expecting to go out and race and to get off, you know, at the time that you had planned on, and then to be here 12 or 18 hours for some of these guys to be here in the final round. You got to give credit to all of the crews that worked so hard.
The fatigue level has got to be immense, but I believe the adrenaline that is coursing through the veins of these two drivers is going to produce a significant drag race. So let's follow them to the starting line now. Is at the left side of your screen, passing about 70% of its fuel past the plugs, and that's the steam you see rising out of the header pipes. The Pennzoil Super Shops fueler stages to face on the right-hand side of the screen, the kid from Florida, Darrell Gwynn, and the Budweiser King Quaker State top fuel dragster.
Don't forget that Gwynn had to go back to the pits and do a lot of work to get ready for this run, and we're just about ready to race.
The motors are up. We've got a green light. They're out of the gate. Gwynn makes a beautiful charge, but Hill's got him by almost a car length, and there he goes again. Eddie Hill, 5:05.2 at 274. Darrell Gwynn at 10th slower at 5:15, 277.
Once again, Eddie Hill, it has been his weekend at the Motorplex. As we look at this one again, John, in slow motion.
All right, the engines are puffing about 70% of the fuel right past the plugs as they're staged now. Watch Hill's move. A beautiful start. Gwynn tries to stay with him, but they're a car length apart now, and Hill just stretches. Here he goes. Stretches, stretches, stretches. Wins at 5:05. Here's Brett Kepner with Eddie Hill.
Well, Eddie, it's absolutely amazing. The people that are still in the stands, you can hear them 3/4 of a mile away cheering. A 5:05, 276 miles an hour. Gwynn won a 5:15.
Is that right? 5:05. Well, what can I say? We're tickled to have won a race.
If nothing else, this is the end of 10 long days with a lot of emotion behind it.
It's been a long 3 months, the last 10 days.
You did an incredible job, and I dare say that the people that were in the stands were sitting there to see one man win, and you came through.
Boy, I can't believe the people stayed out this late for this kind of a deal, but I guess we're all having too much fun, aren't we?
You gave him everything you could have possibly given him with the 4-second pass, the 5 flat back up. It's just a dream come true, without a doubt.
Oh, absolutely. It's just been a picture-perfect weekend. And, you know, the heads didn't come off this car all day today.
We know it better than you. As I said, you're the most boring pin interview there is in the business. But congratulations from all of us to every one of the Super Shops crew.
Oh, well, thank you. The Super Shops Pennzoil car is running good enough, for I believe we'll just keep it and run it a while. What do you think?
I would agree heartily. Congratulations again.
Oh, thank you. We're having a great time.
What a storybook finish to an absolutely phenomenal drag race in Texas. That says it all right there. That Super Shops crew, they're making that final pass, blowing the horn and waving the hands. John, what a great race.
Pat, if we were to wrap this entire 10-day drag race, this incredible 16-hour effort today up in one word, it would be Advent. After this event, drag racing will never again be the same. Elapsed times and speed records have just been totally reoriented. Top alcohol funny car, top alcohol dragster, new pro stock IHRA record of 7:30, funny car pass of 5:25, $4.99 in top fuel. Here's Brett.
When the drag racing historians look back on the 1988 IHRA Kroger Texas Nationals, they probably won't remember that it was one of the latest finishes in national event drag racing history, but they will remember once again that the Texas Motorplex produced the most astounding numbers in the history of drag racing. Whether it be the incredible performance and emotion that came behind Eddie Hill's 4.99-second record breaker, or the incredible performance and consistency exhibited by Ed the Ace McCulloch and the Miller High Life Beer Oldsmobile crew, or the Pro Stock Challenge that Bob Glidden faced coming back into the winner's circle for the first time in 1988, it doesn't matter. This racetrack still is the quickest and fastest in drag racing history, and indeed is going to be so for a long, long time. I think Pro Stock racer Gary Hajek summed it up best at the very first Chief Nationals, the first national event this track ever had, when he said, the problem with this place is that every time they open the gates, you have to be here. We couldn't have said it better ourselves. ESPN will continue to be here. Remember, the Chief Nationals this year will be the biggest, most prestigious IHRA race of the year, and ESPN will be here later this fall. But more ESPN IHRA Championship drag racing will follow this year. And indeed, these performances are going to be tough to match, but it should be a great year. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thanks very much, Brett Kepner. What a great event we've seen here in Dallas at the Texas Motorplex. Our next event will come to you from Rockingham, North Carolina, where it'll be the Pro-Am Nationals. For Brett Kepner and John Lundberg, I'm Pat Patterson saying so long from the Motorplex.
Today's telecast was brought to you by Anheuser-Busch, makers of Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Motorcraft.
quality parts for quality cars. Also by Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference.